Hello, and today we are going to be playing with a new toy called the Habistax. This has been recently launched. It is a tower planter essentially for aquariums, and I will leave a link in the description below. Now, I've bought 3 towers, but I've also bought some extra base and planter lids to make them go further. Now, these are essentially planters that are used for easy maintenance in an aquarium. So they are stackable, so you can have them as high as you want them to, and they boost the tank's ecosystem by providing nutrients in the centre, which is separated by a layer of gravel, which means that fundamentally you don't have to do a substrate layer. Now, the pack comes with several components. It comes with a base, 3 inner chambers where the nutrients are, 3 outer chambers, a lid, and it does come with some rubber bands, which I won't use in this. And I've just bought some extra base and planter lids in order to make the stacks go further. So we'll get these open. These were originally featured on Fish Shop Matt's channel. Apologies, Matt. He has contact with the creators of it. They originally tried a Kickstarter, which they didn't manage to get going, unfortunately, but they have actually been able to produce them now, which is very exciting. So the kit comes with some instructions, but I'm just going to show you how easy they are to set up by not reading the instructions. And everything is a click lock, so it's quite easy to take apart. So each layer unclips from the other, with the inner chamber separate. And essentially this is the kit that you get. So you've got a base which everything clips onto, and this is the inner chamber where you put the nutrient layer in with some gaps for the roots of the plants to get through. And then there are these planting pockets where you tuck the plant in and the roots actually go in initially into the gravel layer. Now we're just going to make a stack here, so this is a single layer stack. And the locking mechanisms are opposite for the inside and outside so that you don't twist both at the same time. And this chamber at the top has got some space for some top planting. So that would be a single high stack, but we're going to create a double high stack for this. The aquarium's not too tall, so I'm not going to go for a triple stack, but the double stack will give some nice height in the aquarium. There we go, and you can see that the pockets are actually not in line with each other, so that actually makes quite a nice split between it, and the inner section is for the gravel, with the centre being the nutrients. So that's the first stack there. And this is the reason why I got some base and planter lids to go alongside it, because in normal circumstances you get a base and a lid, so you can only make 1 stack out of a pack, but because I've got a separate base and planter lid, I can now get 2 stacks out of the pack. So this is really handy. It means that I will fundamentally have several of these available for the tank. Now I'm just going to make up a few more. Like I said, it's not a very big aquarium, so I don't think I'm going to have many that are 3 stacks high. So I'm going to make up just some single and double stacks, and we'll see how much they will fit inside the aquarium. This is the aquarium that we are changing. This has not had a rebuild since we first did it. So this has got my cichlids in it and some community fish, but it's got a little overgrown now. And as you can see, the plants growing out the top have dried up a bit. So as I do for all of my builds, we're going to take out as much water as possible. The fish will stay in this in a bucket that is heated and has the filter put on it, so it keeps the air cycling just for the few hours it's going to take to do the rebuild. Then I'm being quite rough with the plants here. I don't know how many of them I will keep and reuse because they're all starting to get a bit of algae on them, but at least I can pop them in a tub and use later if needed. And now catching the fish. Like I said, this is underneath a shelf, so it's quite awkward to get the nets under, particularly with the long things, but because it's such a narrow tank, it's actually not too bad in comparison to some of my bigger ones. So we will just get these fish out and into the bucket of water next to them. One thing I am doing when siphoning out the last of the water is I am giving the substrate a good scrub through with my hands to just try and get out most of the dirt as possible. I tend to save a lot of my substrates for further future builds, and this just helps clean it up slightly without getting rid of some of the beneficial bacteria. So this is the layout I've chosen, and as you can see I can only fit in 3, but this should make quite a nice scape. So we'll get the planters sorted, and I'm going to use some old fluval stratum that I've had from a previous build to put in the centre, but I'm also going to intersperse that with some new substrate as well as some root tabs for the plants to gain some more nutrients from. I found that the funnel just helps to not scatter it all over the rest of the build. So these are the API root tabs. I use them quite a lot in my builds because unlike the capsules they don't tend to float, although in this case it wouldn't matter so much. But I am going to break the tab up into pieces so that I can intersperse it throughout the layers that I've got here. So some old substrate in first, then a root tab, and then some of the new fluval stratum substrate on top. And I'm just going to layer it like that. The old substrate will have some nice beneficial bacteria still in it, and the new substrate will have more nutrients available, seeing as the old substrate will have had some of it used up in the previous build that it was in. So we've got a selection of plants here. The first couple are for the top, and the other ones I'm going to intersperse throughout the pockets. We've got some bushier ones and some taller ones which will go at the back, and some crypts which will do with low light. So this, for example, is the Hygrophila pinnatifida. Now I've had varying success with this, so I was intrigued as to how well it will work with this build. We're just going to prepare the plants by taking off most of the rock wool and using a fork to separate some of the rock wool from the roots. I've just found that the less rock wool you have exposed to the water column, the less nutrients you get into that water column. And now we get into planting. So it's pretty simple really. You just take the little bit of plant and tuck the roots into the pocket so that the roots go into the void space. Obviously they won't stand up initially, well, they're not in water for a start, so they haven't got the support of the water around them, but also the roots haven't kind of been pinned down yet by the gravel that's going in. So I'm just trying to keep variety in terms of leaf shape, give very much a jungle vibe with different types of plants and different shapes and different colours. So I'm keeping the front bushier. This will obviously be held against the glass, so there will be less at the back, and I'm going to tuck the pinnatifida at the back in about the middle section. I am leaving a few gaps, so I'm giving a bit of space for the plants to grow. If you don't have as many plants, you can leave more gaps. Obviously it will show the black plastic a little more for the first few weeks, but eventually all of that will bush out and grow in. So I am just filling the inner space, so not the middle, but the inner space with gravel here, and that will pin down all of the roots. And then the cap goes on top. Make sure you don't fill it too full with gravel, otherwise the cap struggles to connect. And then you can see it placed in the tank here. So it gives an immediate kind of jungle feel, which is lovely. So I'm just going to give these plants a spray down. They're going to be sat in the aquarium without water for a little while, so this will just keep them fresh and stop them from drying out. And then that means that I can get on with the rest of the towers that will go alongside it. So same again for these ones. Just planting the pinnatifida at the back, and then all of the other plants. They're not particularly short. I wanted them to kind of grow up and cover some of the black of the plastic, but they shouldn't grow too tall, hopefully. And the Bolbitis at the moment is one of my favourites. It's a very fern-like plant and should provide a bit of bushiness while the other plants are growing out. And because I want to plant in the top, I'm just putting a bit of gravel, substrate and root tabs in there so that I can plant into that later. But you can start to see that it's filling out quite nicely in the aquarium. I definitely did not need more than one box for this, so I have got another couple of boxes for later, which is great, as I've got quite a tall aquarium in one of our other rooms, which will really be of benefit to have these taller 3-stack high Habistax in there. So I've got my layout, and now to just add the sand, which is the best part of this. You don't need to worry about any substrate layer, so this is just decorative sand going in here. I'm putting in enough to cover the bases of the plants and making it a little bit higher at the back than at the front, just to give that sense of depth. And because I've got a pair of cichlids in this aquarium, I'm just wanting to add in some rocks to give them some cave-like hiding spaces. These are actually the dragonstone that was in the previous build, so it's still nice and damp, should contain some of that lovely bacterial layer that will be of benefit for the fish going back in. It will be obviously a fish in cycle again, because obviously the sand and some of the substrate's quite new, but hopefully having the old water from the aquarium and these rocks will just give it that extra bit of a boost. Now I'm just filling some sand in the top here because it will make it easier for me to plant. And this is the Eriocaulon, the grass, and some of the Micranthemum. I'm hoping that it will just spread along the top and give just a little bit of an overgrown feel. We'll see how well the high one does, as that will be directly under the light, so it will dry out a bit, but we'll see how it copes. So now I have filled up with water and I'm just adding some API stress coat. This is a water conditioner, so it will take out all the heavy metals in the tank and it will give the fish a little bit of help with their slime layer, which will just give them a little bit of protection after the stresses of being transferred from their tub back into this brand new aquarium. And I'm also going to add in some more beneficial bacteria. This is Microbe Lift's Night Out 2. This will just give a bit of a kickstart to the nitrogen cycle to break down any ammonia and nitrites which are bad for the fish. So here we are. This is actually 2 or 3 weeks after the build. We did have in the initial week a little bit of misting of the water from all of the new sand, and with the kind of nitrogen cycle balancing itself, you get a little bit of a bacterial bloom sometimes. But I did a couple of water changes to reduce that down, and as you can see, we've got some lovely clear water. The fish are quite happy. I did pick up some more Pygmy corydoras, because over time with the last tank we lost some of those, so there were only a pair left. So I got another 4, so that there's a nice little school of them, and they are lovely to watch. They buzz around the tank, and they do actually have the ability to breathe oxygen from the surface, so you will occasionally see them nip up. This is the female Hyghfin. Obviously I did do a water change before this video, so they're not quite as coloured up as they would be normally, and they do chase each other occasionally. They cycle between him chasing her at the start of breeding, and then her chasing him after egg laying. We've never actually seen any babies, but that's no real surprise. The pencilfish and the Vietnamese minnows that we've got in here are quite predatory, so the assumption is that they generally pick them off before they can grow. As you can see as well, we've got a spotted snail in here. We didn't have many ram's horn snails left, so I've just popped him in to help the algae growth. It's always fun watching this pair. Their behaviour's very curious. They're quite different from the other fish, and obviously being a breeding pair, they have some fantastic behaviour. They are my favourite fish at the moment. In fact, this aquarium is one of my favourite aquariums. You get some lovely buzzing about from the Vietnamese minnows. The pencilfish have totally different movement to the others because they tend to hover in the water, and obviously the pair of cichlids are really enjoyable to watch. You can see the Habistax have grown out lovely. The plants are bushing it out. We did have some crypt melt, but actually it seems to be pretty healthy in terms of a system, so yeah, I'm really pleased with this Habistax. We did put in an algae wafer in here, because while there was a little bit of algae around, there wasn't much, so I wanted to give the fish and the snail a bit of a chance to have something to eat. You've got our male Hyghfin there, displaying to the female, who is totally ignoring him for the most part. And you can see that actually some of our pencilfish and our minnows are quite fat. Now that could be because I've just fed them. They might have just put on a little bit of recent weight, but actually I do think that some of them are gravid, so containing eggs. That's pregnant for egg-laying creatures. Basically we have a lot of very slim males and then a few rather large bellied females, so Again, I don't expect to see any of the babies from these. There's just too many predatory fish in this aquarium for them to work. Oh, and we also got a pair of plecos, some suckermouth catfish. I can't remember the name of them, but they're certainly a golden variety. They're very small at the moment, but they will remain quite small, about 3 centimetres maximum, so that's perfect for this tank. And we've just managed to catch a little glimpse of him there. So I'm now going to leave you with some video of this lovely tank. I did, you'll spot there, pop in a new filter. This is the Oase Ecoflow. Some of the cheaper filters that I got just unfortunately didn't work very well, so the impellers were not working every time I was changing and cleaning the filter. So we've got the lovely Ecoflow in there. I'm really pleased with how it's working so far, so we'll see how it does. I'll leave you with some video, a nice rare glimpse of the pleco there. As always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I will see you again next time.